Hey y'all, I'm Kelsey. I'm a Michelin trained chef and restaurant owner, but I'm all about simple things, simple ingredients, and teaching y'all how to cook like a chef, but let's make this fun. Okay, if you don't know how to make the best grilled cheese ever, it's time to learn. And there's one ingredient that is truly the most important, and it's not cheese and it's not butter. It's mayonnaise. If y'all don't have these for your cutting boards, you need to get them. They're just those little things that you put in drawers, but this also prevents your cutting board from sliding around. That's like a chef pro tip, but honestly, everyone should do that. Okay, y'all. So this is the deal about tomato soup and grilled cheeses. It's the best combination ever. Fall is approaching and then winter. There's nothing more comforting and satisfying to me than like super simple grilled cheese and tomato soup. But also, there's nothing worse than a bad grilled cheese and bad tomato soup. So let's stop making bad food, but let's do this really easy. So you wouldn't think, these are tomatoes from my garden that have either like gone rotten or they have a ton of bruise spots, even mold. Now, most of you would throw this away, okay? And I understand it's scary. That's like the biggest to me conundrum of home cooks is like you don't know food safety rules. You just know like the things that you've been told. This is all fine. All you have to do with mold is burn it off, like literally just kill it. So what we're gonna do, and this also happens to be what makes tomato soup freaking delicious and like takes it next level, is you have to roast your tomatoes. So what you're doing when you're roasting tomatoes is you're pulling out a lot of that water, but you're also adding this like char element that caramelizes the sugars, it brings out the acid, and just in general adds what we would call umami. Umami, which is lots of things, but when it comes to tomatoes, they already have that natural flavor, but when you roast them, can't get better. So we're gonna start with that. So with the mold, you can also, if it freaks you out, y'all, I get it, just cut it off, okay. So we're gonna cut that off. Now again, this is tomatoes that like, I was out of town when I went to go pick them, they were way too ripe, whatever. This is the perfect stuff. You do not want to use like really perfect sandwich tomatoes for tomato soup, because they're actually, it's sort of like the saying when you're using rotten bananas for banana bread, they're sweeter. Same thing applies here with this soup. The chickens can eat all these scraps too. Okay, so I'm gonna get a pan out. We're gonna just put a little bit of olive oil and salt on these and roast them. And to roast them, I'm gonna do a broil as high as it'll go, which my oven goes to 500. And this should only take about 5 minutes. And while those are roasting, we'll start our like mirepoix situation, which is just celery, onions, some garlic. And we'll let that caramelize. You add your tomatoes, you puree it, you add a little sour cream, Greek yogurt, whatever is your thing. If you're someone who doesn't like cream and you'd rather do something like Greek yogurt, knock yourself out. You just want to add a little bit of that to the end, because that's what's going to kind of bring it all together and make it super velvety versus watery, which is what actually makes tomato soup like the worst sin ever, is when it's really watery and it just tastes like tomatoes and water. And cream kind of, it's not, you don't want too much cream, but just a little bit will make it so that it tastes velvety. It just feels like it all goes together. So simple, like we have no ingredients here, y'all. Easiest thing ever. And then I have one more trick I'm going to show you with the soup that takes it over the top. Okay. So we've got a sheet tray, and this was actually already lined with parchment because I was using the end of the roll the other day, and so I just threw it on there. So we're just gonna do this because we don't want our tomatoes to taste like a pan. And you can truly, like this is kind of big, so I'm just gonna cut this in half only because I want this to cook as fast as it can. So the bigger ones, just slice them in half. And we're gonna throw these in there like this, y'all. Once we're ready to put these into the pot, we're gonna throw these in there, and then we're gonna use an immersion blender to blend it at the end. Okay. And this is also one of those soups that you can make, I mean, not kidding, you could start this and it's done in 20 to 30 minutes with your grilled cheeses. Like, absolutely put this in your pocket or in your toolkit of like things to cook when you don't feel like cooking, when you don't feel like you have any ingredients. or you're just over it. If you don't have tomatoes, use canned tomatoes, but still roast them. Anything goes here, y'all. Don't ever not make something because you feel like you're lacking ingredients in a recipe. There's always ways to sub it out. So if you don't have fresh tomatoes, use canned tomatoes. But don't skimp the step with roasting. And then one other hot tip, y'all, you can actually buy canned tomatoes that are already roasted. So if you want a major shortcut, done. Another thing I like to add in here when I have them is if I have peppers or, peppers mostly, but if you have some peppers that are kind of not great, or even if like I'm never gonna use these, throw these on the pan with your tomatoes, same thing, roast those. If they're like spicy peppers, just keep that in mind, but I like it pretty hot, so that's me. And then we're gonna do some salt on here. And if you notice, I'm not putting black pepper on this for the oven on purpose because we are charring these, y'all. And you know what happens when you char black pepper? It tastes awful. Like it tastes like really bitter. Like a little bit of bitter is fantastic. A lot of bitter, like think of like the strongest licorice you've had in your life. Like nobody wants that, right? It overpowers everything. Okay, so these are going in the oven. And we're gonna, let these cook for maybe 5 to 10 minutes. I'm gonna check on them in a little bit. And then while this is happening, we are going to start the base of this soup. So this is how you're gonna see me cooking a lot, y'all. I don't ever really have anything I need for anything ever. That's how you start learning how to cook, is when you start making your brain think of like, well, what do I have to make this with? So in this case, I don't have onions, but I have some green onions. And there's like some dried pieces. I'm gonna pull those off. So we're gonna chop these up, and this is gonna be the start. And also, hot tip, guys, save these little pieces, these ends. You can actually put these in the ground like that, and they're gonna regrow. It's like the gift that keeps on giving for infinity. All right, so just chop these up. And this is a soup, okay? And this is not a stew in the sense that like it's gonna be soupy or watery and you're gonna have like pieces in it. This is gonna be like a creamy, velvety stew. So like, do not chop this pretty. Do not waste your time making all this the same size. It doesn't matter. All right, so now we're gonna go over to this beautiful crochet. This is gonna be on low, okay? So we're gonna start it out like medium. Olive oil, probably about a tablespoon, maybe a little more. You're never gonna see me measure anything. I do have cookbooks. You can buy the cookbooks if you want an actual recipe, but we're here to learn how to cook, not read. All right, green onions going in. Okay, let it hanging out. And I have some celery that's like celery that I put celery sticks for my kids' lunches. They're not looking that great, so we're gonna chop this up and put it in there. Carrots is a great thing to add in here too, if you have carrots. Squash, zucchini, as much vegetables as you can get in a tomato soup, the better, because all you're gonna taste, honestly, is tomato. Tomato's gonna overpower most flavors. Even if you were to throw like cauliflower or broccoli in here, it's gonna make the color a little off with the green broccoli, but cauliflower is another great addition because it's gonna add in more vegetables and you're not really gonna taste a whole lot, and also will make it a little bit more creamy. And then next, if you asked any chef what they thought about this, they would probably cuss me out right now, especially all the ones who trained me. But I'm a mom to 2 children, and I don't like to waste money on ingredients, so even I don't really cook a whole ton, need a ton of stuff and it goes bad. So I keep this in the refrigerator, which is minced pre-made garlic. Is it the best product? No, it's not the best product, guys. But will it work if you're making a soup, and will you really taste the difference? No, you won't. I'm a chef, I know better. So sorry everyone who trained me. I know y'all hate this stuff, but it's fine. Put it in there. We're gonna do about a tablespoon of this. And then another product that if you don't, and a lot of these things like this product, for example, and dried products, I started doing this because I have a beach house that we go to regularly, but not enough to have fresh ingredients there. And sometimes I get there late at night and I'm like, I don't want to go anywhere, but I don't want to go to the store. It's too late to get groceries delivered. So I keep a lot of canned, dried, frozen refrigerator things in there. Another product that I love, that's a great substitute is granulated onions and garlic. This is some right here. It's just dried, so it's like freeze dried. It's the freaking best. So that's another one to keep on hand if you don't, you know, if you're on like a crazy budget, or if you're just like, I don't want to chop garlic, I don't want to deal with it. I get y'all. I totally understand. You can sub this. All right, so we're gonna let this cook. Just stirring. You can caramelize this a little bit, but like with garlic, you don't want to burn it. So just kind of keep this moving. And we're gonna go ahead and sprinkle a little salt on there. And then this is optional, definitely optional, but in my house and in my world, not optional, which is gonna be either dried whole peppers or red pepper flake. It will not be spicy. It will give it a kick and kind of round everything out. But y'all, there's a reason why chefs talk about salt, fat, acid, heat. Heat doesn't mean that it's spicy. Heat means that it's literally livening up your dish. And so sometimes when you're missing something, go through that whole list. Did you add salt? Did you add fat, butter, oil, whatever? Did you add acid, which in this case, the entire thing is tomatoes. There's your acid. Did you add heat? And that is 99% of the time what people leave out is the heat. And they say, I don't like spicy. I hate spicy food. That's fine. So don't make it spicy, but you still gotta have the heat or everything tastes like it's dead. So I'm gonna go ahead, I actually have some dried cayenne peppers from my garden, so I'm adding 2 of these. If you have red pepper flake, just a pinch, which is about like 3 to 5 little pieces, but you can add more later. So if you want it to be a little bit spicier, you can do it later. But I like to add this now because it's like any spice. You wanna add it and basically wake it up because it's dried and you wanna essentially toast it. So that's what we're doing. All right, I told y'all we were gonna be talking about some secret ingredients. So here's one. I'll tell y'all, I'm not like the best at everything, even though I am a chef and I've cooked everything, but I do feel that I'm pretty skilled in sauces and soups because I was completely trained in French cuisine. My entire upbringing is French, and the French are really big on techniques, especially sauces and soups. So I think I know some tricks that some people don't. One thing with all soups, you're not gonna believe what I'm about to tell you, but do you know what makes it like next level delicious? Chicken bouillon base. So what this does is it adds another layer of, it feels like it's fatty. But what this does, guys, there's gelatin in it, so it makes it get this kind of like, it's hard to explain, but the way it feels in your mouth when you're eating it is it coats your mouth better by having this in there. If you're trying to make this vegetarian, you can do a veggie base, but it's not gonna give the same kick here because this is also adding fat, which fat, again, is so important. That doesn't mean fatty, that doesn't mean greasy, that's adding natural fats. And there's nothing better than this chicken bouillon. It makes it taste completely different. All right, let's add these tomatoes in now. So these are probably in there for about 5 minutes, guys. Woo! If you would like a facial while you're at it, knock yourself out. Just dump these in there. You grab that spoon, stay. Okay. Using my left hand, which is not my strongest. Okay, done. And now I'm using an immersion blender. You could do this in a blender, but I don't recommend it because it's pretty dangerous with how hot this is right now. Okay, so finished pureeing. Y'all, I leave this a little bit coarse with some pieces in there because it actually adds texture, which you want here. Putting back on the heat, and here's your last secret ingredient, cheese rinds. Any hard cheese, this is a smoked Gouda, or an aged Gouda, I should say. Those go right in there. That adds another layer of umami and earthiness and makes it super creamy. So let this simmer while we make our grilled cheese. All right, grilled cheese. Cheese is up to you. I'm gonna be really honest with y'all. American cheese is amazing on grilled cheese. So we're gonna use some cheap cheese, and then we're gonna use some good cheese, which is some Parmesan. Here's your secret ingredient, which is mayonnaise on the inside and the outside. You're gonna not put too much cheese. So in this case, I'm gonna do 2 slices of this and then a little bit of Parmesan, okay? And then you're going to microwave the piece of bread with cheese on it for about 10 seconds because that gets the chill off, that pre-melts this cheese so that you don't burn your bread waiting on the cheese to melt. Don't make this too thick. Again, you want to make sure that this is about the same thickness as that. So just some pretty thin slices. Try to get them pretty spaced out. And now we microwave. All right, guys, melted this cheese just a little bit, lightly press it, and you're putting mayonnaise on both sides of the outside too. Do not come at me with the mayonnaise. You're gonna love me. Mayonnaise plus butter equals the perfect grilled cheese. Okay, a little bit on that side, and then on the other side, same thing. Light, this is a very light layer. And now we're essentially searing the bread, guys. So the same way you would sear anything, but this is bread. So you're not gonna sear it at a high temperature because this is not a steak. So, get your pan hot. I'm gonna start it out on high. Leave it there for probably let it get hot about a minute, all right? And then we're gonna add a tablespoon of butter and we're gonna turn this down to medium high and we're essentially going to sear the bread. I always keep soft butter out. This literally lives up on my little shelf above my stove. Your butter's not gonna go bad. You can literally leave butter out at all times. As long as you have central heating and cooling, which y'all probably do, you are basically creating a food safe environment for your butter. And soft butter is the best. Can't live without it. All right, let this swirly swirl. Sit for a second. We're waiting for the butter to melt. Simple as that. I'm gonna stir my soup, because why not? And at this point, go ahead and taste your soup if it needs salt, and we can go ahead and add some black pepper now if you want to add black pepper, which I do. Pretty freaking great, guys. So easy. And now, butter's melted. This pan is definitely hot. Do you see that steam, guys? That means it's hot, but it's not burning and it's not too hot. So now we're turning this down to medium, medium-low. Doesn't matter which side goes first. Do not press this. Do not push on it. Do not put a pan on top of it to try to push the bread down because we don't want to squish the bread. We want really fluffy bread that is perfectly crisp. Flat, crunchy bread is the worst. Also on the note of bread, you want white bread. You want a brioche or potato. Don't use wheat bread here. It's just not gonna be very good. It's not. All right, guys, it's about 1 minute per side. So lift this up, get the butter back in the center of the pan, and look at that perfection. So crunchy. And the cheese is already melted, so we don't have to worry about that. All you gotta do is toast your bread. Done. All right, I'm out of sour cream, so I'm doing some cream cheese as my creamy finish. Cream cheese, sour cream, Greek yogurt, all the same. You want about 1/4 cup to add to your tomato soup when it's done. There, and since I have cream cheese, I'm gonna kind of whisk it in. You do not have to do this, but I do this because I'm sorry, this is the chef in me that I can't not, y'all, is to let this cool. I'm gonna put it on a wire rack. You can get these anywhere. And the reason for this, y'all, is this is gonna allow it to cool off with circulating air underneath this so that this is not sitting in a greasy pan or sitting on a cutting board. And essentially it's called wet nesting, which means that you're actually softening that delicious oil again. When your tomatoes aren't sweet enough and you taste this and you're like, something seems off, Add a tiny bit of sugar or a tiny bit of honey. In this case, I'm doing honey because I like honey better. These tomatoes just were like very sour. And this is one of those dishes that needs a tiny bit of sweetness to it because tomatoes are technically a fruit and they're naturally sweet. So without a little bit of sweetness in here, you can't really taste the way it's supposed to be tasting. Tastes less tomatoey. Soups, guys. So they actually taste better the next day, and that's a scientific chef reason because as it cools, it's like marinating. So when you heat it up, it really is better because it is. It's more, everything's accentuated the next day, but you can eat it now, it's fine. If you have basil, great. I always have basil in my yard growing, so I'm gonna put a few pieces on top, totally optional. And I do like to do a little drizzle of olive oil on the top. Again, fat. And then you have your grilled cheese. Y'all ready for this? Oh, that's a good crunch, y'all. Look at that. If you don't like grilled cheese, you seriously need a therapist. And then, I like to finish mine with black pepper. You don't have to. But again, I like things spicy. The spicier, the better.